Oh my gosh, you guys, I did it again. I went to the bookstore and was going to, peruse around and maybe find one or two books. And this is what I ended up with. I can't stop. Apparently, I can't stop. Maybe the Bible studies just have me so excited to find things to talk about. Maybe that's what it is. But basically, I went on an interview and decided that was a good reason to reward myself. Makes no sense. So I'm just looking for reasons to go to the bookstore. But anyway, I'll show you what I got here. I'm sorry this is not a good background, but I don't have anywhere else to film today. There's people all around the house, so I'm hiding in a corner. So here's one on God and Christ, Saint Gregory of Nazianzus. I love the saints, and I don't think that we talk about them enough in the Protestant church because there's a fear, because we don't believe that you pray to saints, and we don't believe that, we believe that you admire them, and that's about it. So now it has gone from that fear has taken everyone over to the extreme of we can't even talk about them. And I think that is wrong because they are amazing people that have awesome stories that we could learn a lot from. So admiring someone is not the same as, believing that they were part of the Godhead and praying to them. So if we could make that distinction, then we could, include them a lot more in our sermons and our studies and things like that. So this is about some letters that St. Gregory wrote. So that should be interesting. And then I have a book on early Christian writings. Let's see. It was before, the organized church. These were writings that early church fathers wrote. The apostolic fathers, some of whom were disciples. And these are accounts of the early church. So that's always an interesting thing to read about, how the church was formed and everything. So that, I'm sure I'll share a lot of this in our study times. And then I got a Ravi Zacharias book, Jesus Among Other Gods. So, I'm assuming, I'm sitting on something here. I'm assuming that this is an apology for Christianity. So Ravi Zacharias is a Christian apologist. He, in my opinion, is a Christian theological prodigy. He is absolutely amazing. If you can ever hear him, he has, I don't want to say he has a show, but he has a website, he has a ministry and everything. He's a speaker. He goes around to very prestigious universities and does talks and things like that. The man's brilliant. So you can't go wrong with one of his books. And I already know the differences between Jesus Among Other Gods, but it's not going to hurt me to read more about that. Okay. Are you an evolutionist or a creationist or undecided or both? This is a good book to make us think, called Darwin's Black Box. No one can propose to defend Darwin without meeting the challenges set out in this superbly written and compelling book. So that we had that book years ago, but I never read it. I've just always known about it. Ethics. Ethics are a big thing in chaplaincy, especially for hospitals. Well, hospitals and hospices, but healthcare ethics is a really big thing. I was on an ethics committee at one of the hospitals that I was in, because these unique situations will pop up from time to time, and then they consult the ethics committees on these situations, because not every case and not every patient, not every accident is the same. So things pop up, and you have to figure out ethically which is the best way to handle it. And Dietrich Bonhoeffer is, I'm sure that will be a good one. There's also one by, I have one by someone else, but ethics can be very hairy, and so it's good to keep up on that. And in her words, women's writings in the history of Christian thought. I'm always looking for more women. I have grown up in the church. I've gone to so many churches. I've gone to so many heard so many sermons. I've gone to so many services. I cannot count. And the amount that I have heard on women is very small in comparison to sermons on the men of the Bible. And so that's a travesty, if you ask me, because women, we need heroes that are our same gender. We need to hear stories that women are the heroines in, that women from the Bible, women writers, women everything. So I'm not saying that the other ones don't impact me. They do. But if I can hear a story of a woman, it's just going to mean a lot more to me. So women have been discriminated against in ministry since the beginning of time. So they weren't allowed to write and read and all these things, and so throughout history, that's one of the reasons that we don't have a lot of stories on them, a lot of writings and stuff. Because they have always been discriminated against in that way. So I think it's always helpful to read things like that. And my mentor and I have actually dissected a lot of, there's even small scriptures that they'll just have one hint of a woman in them or something. So we're trying to figure out how many women are actually in the scriptures, but then they don't elaborate on them. So I would like to study more about that and bring more of them to light that haven't even been given any type of admiration at all when they should have been. So I don't know what women this is about. Let me look here. Let's see, the Gospel of Mary, the Acts of the Martyrs. So some of the martyrs, Hildegard of Bingen, which I have one of her books, Teresa of Avila, I have that. So I've heard of a lot of these Phoebe, but some of them I have not heard of. So I definitely will be reading a lot about this because I am just fascinated with women in Christianity and theology and the Bible. So that's exciting. And then I got a book on the evolution of Christian thought. So when I was in seminary and what is going on with my hair here? I was originally going to get a Master's of Divinity, and one of the classes that I took at OCU was through Dallas Theological Seminary? Anyway, it was on the history of Christianity, and I have never liked that subject of history, and it might be because when I was homeschooled, I missed out on all history. Because we didn't, I can tell you that story someday. We homeschooled but didn't homeschool. And so when I finally did go back to school, I had missed out on all those years of history, U.S. or otherwise. And so in the 10th grade, of course, I don't know what kind of history, what the name of it was, but I did not take to the professor very well. He just was kind of dry, and he always had us memorizing dates of weird battles and stuff, and I just never got into it. I liked U.S. government better than I liked history. So, my husband now, he's kind of a history buff, so I love that because he can fill in all the gaps that I have in that area, and he knows his history really well. But I became fascinated with the history of Christianity and how it all started, how it evolved, and everything. And I mean, in that class, I was riveted, and it was a female professor. And I don't know if it was just the way she taught it or whatever, but it was so interesting. And I have been hooked on that ever since. And that was, I don't know how long time ago. But so now I have been interested in that. And I have other books on it. I haven't done the studies on it like I should have. But it's good to know because, you know, as a Christian, as a minister, you're going to be asked questions about all of this stuff, and you know, need to know something about it. So, and I even have this map. It's a history of Christianity map, and you open it up, and it is really long. I don't know if I could get it on video. I can try to one day. And it maps everything out from the day one all the way out. It's really, really cool. So I love the history of Christianity. I mean, I love Constantine. He's like my favorite. And when I went to Rome, I went on a ministry trip 5.5 years ago, with Marilyn Hickey Ministry, and we went to Greece and Rome. So I was able to, it was really, really cool because I was able to see a lot of places where Paul actually preached. We went up to one of the mountains that he preached on. We were able to go to a lot of the places that you read about in the New Testament. I can't remember which ones because I failed to journal on it, but I'm sure I could find out. So it's a group of people. We all go and we go through this together. And so I was able to hear people speaking in Greek. And then we went to Rome. And what was I going to say about Rome? I mean, there's just so much history of Christianity right there that is really old. We don't have that here in the U.S. We don't have, you know, ruins from 2,000 years ago and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see that. And I don't know if I was going to say that when I went to Israel, I was able to hear people speaking in Hebrew. So it was cool to hear Greek and Hebrew. People still speaking it today is really neat. So, so all of that history came to life for me on that trip. And the words on the page just kind of come off the page when you can see it and you've been there, and it's like these places are real. This is real. These people were real, and so all of this stuff is important to know. I was talking about Constantine. So when I went to Rome, everyone wanted to see the Colosseum, and I'm like, that was barbaric. That's where they ripped Christians to pieces. Okay, that's where they ripped people apart. I wanted to see Constantine's arch. So I have a picture of me in front of Constantine's arch, and if you read his story, you will read about the miracle that happened there. It was so awesome. He saw a sign in the heavens and everything, and then he made his kingdom Christian. So I mean, that I just can't even tell you how amazing that is. So I was really, really amazed. No one even told me we could see that. I just stumbled upon it, and I'm like, why are people not talking about this? And then when you buy art, like on the streets and stuff, they sell art. You can buy pictures of the Colosseum and everything. You cannot buy, at least I couldn't find anything about Constantine's art, but there it is. It's huge. It's amazing. So He's part of the history that I really love, and there's just so much in the history of Christianity. You know, people think that the Bible is boring. Those are the people that haven't read it. There's nothing boring in the Bible. You have every story you can think of that you would see on a soap opera, in a reality TV show. I mean, it's all there. And if you read it with an open eyes and open heart, you're going to see the humanity in all of it. So, I mean, there is nothing boring about the Bible and about theology and about, the history of the church. It's fascinating. One of my pet peeves is when people say, oh, you're not supposed to talk about religion or politics. And I'm thinking, those are the two main things that shape the planet. We can't talk about that. So what are we left with? The weather, small talk, nothing deep. So it's kind of like, those are the two things we need to talk about. Religion is everywhere. If you try to avoid religion, then you can't hardly live on this earth. There's churches on every street corner. Every country has a religion. Every person has some type of religion. I mean, you can't avoid it, and I guess people want to avoid talking about it, but I think that is wrong. I think we need to talk about it. We need to talk about politics, religion. I mean, I can't be a good Christian if I'm not voting and participating in my country. So I think that's a travesty also that we have done to ourselves, because people don't know how to talk about it civilly, and I think that we can, and I think those are the best conversations. So anyway, that was, a little off track there, but all of these books lead me back to the studies and different things that I can learn that I haven't delved into like I should, and it will lead me to that. So it's really exciting. And coming up, I still need to do the fruits of the Spirit. I think I'm going to do 3 in 1. So it'll be love, joy, and peace in the first one. But first I have to do the intro to the fruits of the Spirit in Spanish. So it's going to be a little bit, you guys. I have to get that done. I have not gotten that done. But, I would love to hear about some of the books that you guys have found that excite you, that you're wanting to read, and good things, other things that I can look at. And every time I go, I put 4 or 5 books back. I'm like, okay, I can't get that. I can't get all of that. And I need to start reading on my Kindle again, or iPad or whatever, but it's just not the same as holding a book in your hand and picking it off the shelf whenever you need it, because a lot of times I'll look at my books and I'll get ideas just from reading the titles or just from knowing what's in the book. I will get ideas, and I wouldn't be able to do that if I had every book on my e-reader, because I wouldn't be able to see them all at one time. So there's something to be said for each one. There's pros and cons for each one. So I have to do a little bit of both, because I can't continue to, buy 7 books at a time and hope to have enough space one day. But I usually, if it piques my interest, or it's something that I know that I'm really curious about, then I will buy the book. Otherwise, I don't. So you guys, make some comments down here and let me know what you think about these books, what you think about other books, and ideas that you might have for me too. So you guys, thanks for watching, and if you like this channel and you want to hear more Bible studies, let me know kind of what about, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when new videos come up. I try to post it on my Facebook and stuff, but not everyone always sees that. We all know about the algorithms and in social media now, so I don't know who's seeing it or what, and so it's better if you just get the notifications for yourself. So anyway, I will show you, I have some books that I bought a couple months ago that I never have showed. So I'll do that one day. But other than that, you guys take care, and I'll see you for the next study.